Hello everyone and welcome to Farm Bureau's Voices of Agriculture, brought to you this week by the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation. On the show this time, we have highlights of the Mississippi Farm Bureau annual meeting held in Jackson.
And I am so honored to be with folks just like you that believe like I believe and have the opportunity to capitalize on this thing we call agriculture in this great state that we live in.
We also take you to the American Farm Bureau annual meeting held in Nashville, Tennessee, where President Donald Trump addressed the convention.
We know that our nation was founded by farmers. Our independence was won by farmers. Our continent was tamed by farmers. So true.
We also have a story on the annual Washington, D.C. lobbying trip, where members got to interact with their congressman.
I'm glad Farm Bureau brought us here and allowed us to get us behind the scenes. Met some good people, and I know they have to go through a lot of trouble to help us out, and we appreciate everything they do.
And finally, Nancy Freeman introduces us to a wonderful dish using Mississippi commodities. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
So remember, pork is very healthy.
The 2017 Mississippi Farm Bureau annual meeting was held in Jackson with about 700 Farm Bureau members in attendance, representing all the 82 counties across the state. The three-day convention featured high-profile speakers, contests, awards, elections of officers and directors, and also the adoption of policies that will guide the organization in the coming year. In his annual address, Farm Bureau President Mike McCormick echoed the theme of the convention: teamwork makes the dream work.
As I was writing my annual address, I began thinking about how it truly takes all of us working together with other ag organizations, state agencies, our senators, representatives, members of Congress to reach our common goals, to assure that our farmers have the opportunity and tools that they need to successfully provide a safe and abundant food source for not only American consumers, but consumers around the world. With that in mind, I'd like to show you some highlights and some events from the past year that showcase how Farm Bureau's team is working together locally, nationally, and internationally to accomplish these goals. First of all, on a national level, for the second consecutive year, Mississippi has reached AFBF quota. Mississippi was the first state to report quota in 2017, and the congratulations go to you in this audience. On a state level, I'm pleased to announce that Mississippi Farm Bureau now stands at 192,500 member-strong families, which is a two-year increase of nearly 8,000 member families. It's the first time since 2005 and 2006, since Hurricane Katrina ravaged our state, that we've had back-to-back years of membership growth. And for that, we all need to be thankful. Another example of teamwork is our policy development meetings and our summer and winter commodity conferences. These vital meetings help develop language in our policy book, which our staff are pledged to adhere to at the Capitol and in Washington.
Lieutenant Governor Tate Reeves addressed the membership about his efforts to encourage private sector job growth.
I believe it can be summed up in three primary areas. Number one, if we're going to see long-term job growth in Mississippi, we must have a fiscally responsible government. In addition to ensuring that we have a fiscally responsible government, the second thing that we must do, if we're going to see long-term economic growth and prosperity in Mississippi, is we must have a tax code that is fair, one that is flat, one that encourages economic development, not one that discourages it. That's the reason in 2016 we passed the Taxpayer Pay Raise Act. The third thing that we must do if we're going to see long-term economic growth and prosperity in Mississippi is we must improve the educational attainment level of our citizens.
Commissioner of Agriculture Cindy Hyde-Smith also spoke to the convention. She emphasized the clout that Farm Bureau has across the state and in the legislature.
The theme of this meeting for this weekend is teamwork makes the dream work, and that is so true. And a lot of us out here, we are living the dream. We are getting to enjoy the lives that we have, and we get to enjoy with our family on a farm. And to me, that is living the dream. And I am so honored to be with folks just like you that believe like I believe and have the opportunity to capitalize on this thing we call agriculture in this great state that we live in. So thank you for letting me be here. Thank you for letting me be on this team. And I don't care what you're reading in the national media, good things are happening and we're getting to enjoy them. And I appreciate every opportunity, every grace that you've given me. Thank you, Farm Bureau.
The outlook for commodity markets is always a hot topic when farmers get together. Alan Brugler of Brugler Marketing and Management gave his outlook for row crops and livestock prices.
Export sales have been a little slow for the first quarter because of competition out of Brazil, but we see that starting to resolve itself as we get into the winter here. We've actually done very well in selling the beef given the expansion we've had with the cattle cycle. Exports are a big part of that. The weaker dollar's helping us there. We've got to continue because we've got expansion in pork, poultry, and beef right now. All three sectors are expanding production.
There were quite a few awards and contests at the convention. Bobby Moody, a row crop farmer from Winston County, received the organization's highest honor, the Distinguished Service Award. Bobby is a fifth-generation farmer who's worked land that's been in his family for many years, and he strives to use conservation methods that leave the land better than he found it. He's been a member of the Winston County Farm Bureau Board of Directors for nearly 40 years, where he has served as president, vice president, and on numerous committees. He's also served 2 terms on the State Board of Directors. He's a past member of the Young Farmers and Ranchers Committee and remains a big supporter of the YF&R program. The Excellence in Leadership Award went to Roy Doss of Monroe County for his many years of dedicated service to agriculture in Mississippi. After college and the Army, Roy began his career with the Cooperative Extension Service as an assistant county agent in Tishomingo County. He worked there for a little over 8 years before being moved to Monroe County, where he stayed for 22 years. Roy's been involved with Farm Bureau on the county and state levels for nearly 60 years. Speaker of the House Philip Gunn was given the Friend of Agriculture Award. Speaker Gunn has been in the Mississippi House of Representatives since 2004, representing Hinds and Madison counties. He's been very supportive of the issues that Farm Bureau has in the legislature, especially House Bill 1340, which dealt with land appraisal. David and Rebecca Arant of Sunflower County were selected as Farm Bureau's Young Farmers and Ranchers Achievement Award winners. Austin Smith of Lamar County was selected as the YF&R Excellence in Agriculture Award winner, and Cobie Rutherford of Oktibbeha County won the YF&R Discussion Meet, an event that challenges contestants' discussion skills and their ability to persuade others to see their side of an issue. All of these young farmers competed in their respective areas in the national competitions at the American Farm Bureau annual meeting in Nashville last month. We'll let you know how they did later on in the show. The Farm Woman of the Year award was presented to Marlo Beason of Neshoba County. Marlo has been involved in Farm Bureau for many years, including a stint on the YF&R State Committee, and she currently is the Neshoba County Women's Committee Chair. And finally, Rachel Peeler of Union County won the Farm Bureau Ambassador competition sponsored by the Women's Program. Rachel will be a spokesperson for Farm Bureau and agriculture during 2018. We'll be right back after this timeout. Stay with us. Farmers and ranchers from all 50 states and Puerto Rico gathered in Nashville, Tennessee for the 99th annual American Farm Bureau annual meeting, and an important meeting it was. President Donald Trump addressed the convention and had some very interesting things to say.
We know that our nation was founded by farmers. Our independence was won by farmers. Our continent was tamed by farmers. So true. Our armies have been fed by farmers and made of farmers. And throughout our history, farmers have always, always, always led the way. Are you surprised to hear that, farmers? I don't think so. You have led the way, great people. The men and women in this room come from different backgrounds and from all across our land, but each of you carries the same title that's been proudly borne by patriots and pioneers, inventors and entrepreneurs, the title of, very proudly, American Farmer. Thank you very much. And from now on, most family farms and small business owners will be spared, and you're going to be spared, and it really is the word punishment of the deeply unfair estate tax known as the death tax, so you can keep your farms in the family. Get up. That was a tough one to get. That was a tough one.
Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue also made remarks to the farmers. He said that the USDA has been rolling back excessive regulations following a directive from President Trump. He cited the Waters of the U.S. rule as an example of regulatory overreach negatively affecting farmers.
You remember the Ditch the Rule effort that you all participated in last year. Here's more of that common sense that I was talking about. You know, sometimes a mud puddle is just a puddle, right? And we don't need the federal government coming in and regulating everything to death. At USDA, we've done our part in lifting the milestone of regulatory burden.
AFBF President Zippy Duval covered many of the major issues that have been in the works recently, including the importance of trade to American farmers.
As I traveled, I have discovered that even some of us within agriculture don't understand what's at stake if we lose these trade agreements. Trade should not be a dirty word, because without those global markets and with our already depressed farm economy, we'll get even worse. We need to be talking to our friends and neighbors to help them understand that ag trade is truly an American success story.
Immigration remains a key issue with farmers across the country.
This is just another issue that has been taken over by politics. But I have met farmers and ranchers all across America who deal with the reality of the farm labor shortage on their farm. Everywhere I go, no matter which region or which state, farmers tell me the number one issue they face is not enough ag workers to get the crops out of the fields.
Mississippi Farm Bureau President Mike McCormick agreed with Duval on the importance of a legal workforce.
The process that we have right now is very complicated. It's difficult for our farmers to get these laborers on time, and it also gets caught up in this rhetoric about immigration. To me, H-2A labor is not an immigration issue. It's a national security issue for our farmers. Because these people are not coming here to stay. They want to come do the work and then return home to their families. But without a voice like Farm Bureau, Mississippi Farm Bureau, and American Farm Bureau, we don't have a voice at the table to let Congress understand how important these people play in the role of food security in the United States.
Mississippi was honored by receiving 3 awards of excellence at this year's convention, one each in the areas of advocacy, engagement and outreach, and membership value.
Well, it's great to see that the American Farm Bureau recognizes how hard our Mississippi Farm Bureau staff works on behalf of our membership here in the state. We're doing great things every day, and this is just a way that they spotlight all the accomplishments that we made last year in the state of Mississippi. It's really an honor to get those 3 awards.
Mississippi's Young Farmers and Ranchers contestants represented the state well and had some great things to say about the contests.
Participating in the discussion meet and representing the state of Mississippi was a fantastic opportunity for me. I think sometimes, especially in my work field with the Mississippi State University Extension Service, that I get caught up in the science and maybe not as in depth with the issues that Mississippi's farmers and ranchers are having. So participating in the discussion meet at a state, then a national level, really brought some of those big issues back to light for me.
It gives you an opportunity to really talk about what you've done and your operation. It gives you a lot of insight about yourself and how you can improve and your operation and what you're, and things like that. The networking. There's so many things that I've gotten out of this year that I can't put a value on.
The first thing for us, it really helped us put down our goals on what we want to accomplish in the future. It made us think about what we've done in the past and where we want to go in the future. It just helps you figure out the direction you want your career and your farm to go for the future, for future growth.
And you make so many good connections, and it makes you reflective. It helps you talk to other people, see what they're doing, and then the events you get to attend are really just once-in-a-lifetime experiences. You get to come to places like this and learn and connect with the people in your area. Farming is so busy that a lot of times you don't have time to stop and connect with people, and here you're able to do that and relax and enjoy it.
We'll have more of Voices of Agriculture right after these messages. President Dwight D. Eisenhower once said, "Farming looks mighty easy when your plow is a pencil and you're 1,000 miles from the cornfield." Well, if that's true, then the pencil pushers in Washington sorely need to hear from the people who actually work the fields and take the risks. That's why Farm Bureau annually takes a large group of farmers to the nation's capital to meet with their congressmen and government officials. Over 100 Farm Bureau members made the trek to D.C. to be face-to-face with their elected representatives and hear from other government agencies.
This is the most important event of the year. We can get a chance to bring our members to D.C. to be with their congressional delegation and not only just be with them, but to have a chance to interact with the staff that does so much work behind the scenes, to let them hear the issues that we're facing back in Mississippi on our farms.
The trip took place in November, and there were a lot of issues of great interest to the farmers in attendance. Senator Roger Wicker and USDA Deputy Secretary of Agriculture Steve Sinskey talked about international trade.
Americans represent 5% of the world's population. The 95% of humans that live outside the United States, we want to sell them Mississippi farm-grown agriculture products, and we want to sell them Mississippi manufactured goods. And I think it's a pretty good deal. We sell twice as much to countries where we have trade agreements. And so let's don't be afraid to talk about the benefits that that trade, that fair, free trade makes for America and for American agriculture and for particularly Mississippi agriculture.
Trade certainly is front and center on everyone's minds these days, and we know how important trade is to farmers and ranchers and to our future. For many commodities, it's over half of what we produce is exported overseas. From the soybean industry, where I came from, we export on average around 55% of U.S. production every year is exported overseas. For wheat, it's 60%. For cotton, it's also a high percentage. And even for those commodities that don't export that high a number, we know that exports make the difference for farmers and ranchers between profitability and not being profitable.
Chairman of the House Agriculture Committee, Mike Conaway from Texas, addressed the group, telling them about the changes that need to be made in the upcoming Farm Bill.
It won't be the kinds of changes that we saw in the 14th Farm Bill. It will be more fine-tuning, but we've got our challenges ahead of us. But I've got a great team to work with. We're ready to make this thing happen. We've got the groundwork laid, and we're ready to go forward. Given where we are, if there are any remaining priorities out there that you haven't communicated to us that you would like to see addressed in the Farm Bill, time is of the essence. Because once we start getting things down on paper, it becomes more and more difficult to overcome certain things. And there are certain artificial barriers that get created that would hinder us from trying to address whatever it is you're talking about.
Tax reform is a huge issue right now in Congress, and Deputy Secretary Sinskey said that he thinks there will be an adjustment in the Section 179 expensing provisions, a reduction in corporate and individual tax rates, and a reduction or elimination of the death tax.
All of us know that farmers, the old proverbial saying that farmers live cash poor and die land rich. But certainly we know that that's true, and that the death tax can significantly impact farming operations. And we also know that a lot of money that is spent trying to restructure operations to try to get out of that, and that makes no sense. And so certainly we're hopeful that we'll get the tax reform and be able to get these things through.
There were quite a few people on this lobbying trip for the first time, and President McCormick says that's a good thing.
We want to show people Farm Bureau through a different light. This trip is what excited me about Farm Bureau, and it started my involvement. It's why I knew Farm Bureau is where I wanted to be 25, 30 years ago, and I think we've opened some eyes to some people here. They've seen our congressional leadership look at us and say, Farm Bureau is where I get my answers from on when I need to talk about ag issues. They have seen people that have come through our system with American Farm Bureau working at USDA and on Senate Ag committees and other places that they understand that American Farm Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation, is the voice of agriculture and how much impact that we have on policy on a national basis.
Bryce Riccone, a soybean and corn farmer from Cleveland, enjoyed his first lobbying effort.
I'm glad Farm Bureau brought us here and let us get us behind the scenes. Met some good people, and I know they have to go through a lot of trouble to help us out, and we appreciate everything they do.
Richie Bibb from Tunica wanted to make sure Washington heard that he wants cotton back in the Farm Bill.
Our main issue is to make sure that cotton gets back into the Farm Bill as a titled commodity instead of being in the outside. We understand the problems we had in the last Farm Bill with it being included in Title I, but we see a real need for it to be included in Title I, and also for the cotton ginning assistance program that we had last year to try to get it continued until this new Farm Bill could go into effect. We're still at least 2 years off of the Farm Bill going into the new Farm Bill going into effect, and the cotton farmer needs help now. And cotton is so vital to our communities. It is what employs people. It is what makes the jobs. It is what turns the products over.
The one-on-one connections made this week can make the difference between an issue getting passed or it just getting passed over.
Mississippi farm-raised pork, it is great for your family meals. It's a healthy meat. And
now
you know,
it's time for
it's
Nancy
very
Freeman and another
nutrient-dense.
one of
And
her
by that
wonderful
I mean
recipes.
It has a lot of nutrition for the amount of calories that you're getting in the meat product. So remember, pork is very healthy, nutrient-dense when it's farm-raised right here in Mississippi. You know, a 3-ounce serving of lean pork is only 165 calories. And it only has 67 milligrams of cholesterol. So if you've been holding out on yourself and not having pork, think about making some planned changes so you have some good, healthy pork in your meal. All right, we're going to start with some nice center-cut pork chops, and we're going to take a little bit of olive oil, and I'm just going to spread some on each piece. Turn it over and bathe both sides, just enough to have a light coating. It doesn't take a whole lot, just enough so that we can make it nice and smooth and easy. Okay, now onto this we're going to put a bread coating, and what I've got is Italian breadcrumbs, a little bit of fresh grated Parmesan cheese, some garlic powder, not garlic salt, garlic powder, and a little bit of black pepper. Now to this we're going to take our pork chops and we're just going to press them in good so that we get a nice coating on each particular side. You know, one of the things I like about pork is it is such a versatile meat that you can use a lot of different ways. And you know, pork is one of those things that is juicy and tender at your family meal. So if you want to serve it in a lot of different ways, great on the grill, it's a good choice for doing it that way. This past year in 2015, you might like to know that we had $100 million raised here in the state by our Mississippi pork producers. So they brought in a lot of good value to our state. And then we're going to take the last one and coat it. This is going to go in the oven at about 350, and it's going to cook for about 45 to 50 minutes, and it's going to be tender and juicy and delicious. Let's take a look and see what it really looks like at the end. I think this is going to be just great. So check us out at our website at growingmississippi.org and follow us on Facebook by looking for Farm Families of Mississippi.
That's all the time we have for this edition of Voices of Agriculture. We hope you've enjoyed the show and will be with us again next time. For all of us here at the Mississippi Farm Bureau, thanks for watching.